The Children of the Forest, or simply the Children, are a mysterious non-human race who were reportedly the original inhabitants of the continent of Westeros. They were already living in Westeros when the first men migrated to the continent 12,000 years before Robert's rebellion. According to legend, they were last seen during the coming of the Andals 6,000 years before the War of the Five Kings. In the present day, most believe that they are simply the stuff of myth and never existed at all. Even the few who do believe they once existed, such as Maester Luwin or Ned Stark, believe that they have long since gone extinct. In actual fact, some of the children endured for a time beyond the wall as one group of children came to serve the Three-Eyed Raven. This group was eventually killed during an assault on the cave of the Three-Eyed Raven, rendering the children seemingly extinct. The Children of the Forest were a sapient species that resembled humans in overall shape, but significantly smaller in stature, with adults being no larger than human children. Their facial anatomy is mostly identical to that of a human, albeit being very rounded and soft, like that of a young child. They also have disproportionately large and expressive eyes, like human babies, which are set wider in their face than would be normal for a human child of the same height and stature. Their skin is shown to be a pale gray-green with an apparent rough to wrinkly texture, similar in appearance to plants. Similarly, their eyes have been shown to be all lime green in color. Like humans, the Children of the Forest do possess hair. However, they only possess hair on their head and lack eyebrows and body hair. The Children of the Forest also seem to possess an indigo-colored blood. A notable difference in anatomy is that the Children of the Forest are tetradactyl, possessing only 4 digits on each of their hands. They also seem to be extremely long-lived. Given Leaf participated in the creation of the Night King some 12,000 years ago, their lifespans are clearly measured in millennia. It is unknown if this is through purely magical or biological means, or a combination of both. The Children of the Forest worshipped nature gods, the countless and nameless spirits of every tree, every rock, and every stream. Their religion devoted to the old gods had no complex temples, but according to legend it was the children who carved faces into the sacred weirwood trees. These carved heart trees were the closest thing to a shrine in their religion. The Children of the Forest weren't very technologically advanced, though they were skilled at woodcraft and had a great knowledge of the plants and animals of the forest. They hunted using bows made of weirwood and used blades made of dragonglass. The shamans of the Children of the Forest were known as greenseers, who are said to have had impressive powerful magic at their disposal. Legend holds that the Children of the Forest ruled Westeros for thousands of years before the arrival of the first humans on the continent 12 millennia ago. They inhabited the vast primeval forests, which spanned most of Westeros, before humans came and began cutting them down. According to legend, the giants also inhabited Westeros at this time and clashed periodically with the children. Whatever history, wars, romances, or triumphs the children may have had in the untold centuries that they inhabited Westeros, their stories have been forgotten. 12,000 years ago, the first men from the eastern continent of Essos migrated to Westeros by crossing a land bridge known as the Arm of Dorne. The first men began cutting down the children's forests, including the sacred weirwood trees, leading them into conflict with the children. The two races fought a desperate series of wars for dominance for the next 2,000 years, during which the Children of the Forest destroyed the Arm of Dorne and flooded the neck through the sorcery of their greenseers. After 2,000 years of violence, the Children of the Forest and the first men fought one another to a standstill. The two races agreed to peaceful coexistence and signed the pact on the Isle of Faces in God's Eye Lake, granting the open lands to humanity and the forests to the children. The pact lasted for another 2,000 years before the enigmatic White Walkers invaded from the uttermost north, bringing death and destruction to both races. The Children of the Forest allied with the First Men to drive back the White Walkers in the war for the Dawn 8,000 years in Westeros. However, after the defeat
still
of the
claim
White
majority
Walkers,
descent
the
from
children,
the First Men,
much reduced in number,
and still actively
are said to have
embrace
helped the
old
Bran,
ways
the
and
builder
religion of their
raise
ancestors
the wall with their
the
powerful
Northmen
magic
and the
to
wildlings.
prevent the White
The
Walkers'
Crannogmen of the
return.
Neck,
The Children of the Forest
unique offshoot
never had a
of the
large
Northerners,
population to begin
while
with,
the hill tribes of the
and they
Vale
took heavy
are
losses
an
in the
isolated
struggle
First
against the
Men
White
ancestry,
Walkers,
ties
from which they
of
never
dynastic
truly
marriage
recovered.
were made between
Over the
North
following centuries,
and the southern
they
kingdoms
gradually
over the
declined
next
throughout
6,000
Westeros,
years,
so
until
that
they
the
had
blood
all
of
but
both peoples
disappeared by
mingled
the
together.
time the Andals
A process
invaded
that has
Westeros,
continued under the rule of the
6,000 years
Targaryen
ago.
kings.
The few who remained
For example,
were hunted,
Ned Stark,
or driven
of
off
the ruling
by the
dynasty of
Andals
the First
during
Men of
their
the North,
conquest of the continent,
married Catelyn
believing
Tully
their magic
of the
to be an
predominantly
abomination
Andal
to
ruling
their
dynasty
faith
of the
Seven.
Riverlands.
The Andals
resulting in
cut down
all
the
of their
sacred
children
heart
having
trees in
mixed
the south,
blood.
except
Still,
on the Isle of Faces,
while the kingdoms south
but the
of
First
the Neck
Men of the
consist
North
of
withstood
heavily
their
mixed
advance
Andal and First
and
Men
continued
ethnicity.
their worship
The
of
North
the
is
old
still
gods
predominantly
centered around
First
the
Men.
remaining heart
The
trees
wildlings
there.
that live
The
north
handful
of
of
the wall
children
are
who
descended
survived
from
the
those
slaughter
First Men
were said
who
to
were
have
living
fled
north of the wall
to the far
when it was
north,
constructed
beyond the wall,
and have an even
where the
purer
Andals
bloodline
would
than
never
the North.
follow them.
By
There's
the
little,
time
if
that
any,
Aegon I
Andal
Targaryen
blood
conquered
north of the wall
and united the seven kingdoms of Westeros,
even in the Stark-held
300
north,
years ago,
the usage of
there
the
had
language
been no
of the
contact
First Men
with
the
old
Children
tongue
of the Forest
was
for
eventually
thousands of
discontinued
years.
in favor
According
of
to the
adopting
knowledge
the
of the
language
Maesters,
of their Andal
the
neighbors
children
to the
are
south.
either extinct,
However, the
or
language
never
of the
existed
First
in the
Men
first
is
place,
still actively
and
used
are a
north of the
purely
wall,
mythical race.
notably by the
This is
Vens,
disputed by
though
the
a
people
large
of the
number
North,
of wildlings
who
are
hold
also
that they
fluent
inherited
in the
their
common
worship
tongue
of
the
the old
Andals.
gods from
In
the
the
Children
Song
of the
of
Forest,
Ice and Fire
who were
novels,
real, and have
the first
long
men living
since
in the
departed
north
the realms of
were
men.
able to resist
Secretly,
the coming of the Andals.
a handful of the children
due to the
actually did
geographical
survive
choke point
in
of
the
the
lands
neck,
beyond the
which
wall,
separates the north
unseen
from the rest
even by
of
the
continent.
wildlings.
The powerful
Hiding in
fortress
vast
of
underground
Moat
caverns,
Caverns commands
in
the
the
approach
song
to
of
the
ice
north
and
fire
through
novels.
the swamps of the Neck.
Legend holds
The
that
only major
the children
road
of the
that
forest
large
ruled
armies can
Westeros
use to
for
travel
thousands
north
of
through
years
the Neck
before the
is
arrival
so
of
well
the first
defended
men
by
from
Moat
the eastern
Cailin
continent
that
of
the
Essos
kings of winter were
some
able
12
to
millennia
consistently
ago.
repulse
According to
attempts
Leaf,
to invade
the
their
first men
lands.
named them
To be
children.
clear, the giants
The first
called
men
them Wodak
are not the
Nagran,
first humans
the squirrel
who lived
people,
in the
because
entire
they were
world.
small and
Humans
quick
were
and
already
fond of
living
trees.
on the eastern
Their
continent
name in
of
the true
Essos
tongue
for untold
means
millennia,
those who sing the song
and
of Earth.
probably also
Within
on
the first
Sothorios,
novel, A Game of
the
Thrones,
Africa-like
it is
continent
speculated
south
by
of Essos.
songsters in the
The
north
exact
that the
origins
children
of
might
the human
survive
race
north
are
of the
not
wall.
known,
Because
though
just
simply
as in real
because
life,
no one is entirely
history
sure what
does not
exists
extend
in
that
the
far
uncharted
back.
forests
Even
beyond
oral
it.
history
Nonetheless,
eventually fades
the
into
children
varying
have not been
fables,
cited
legends,
in thousands
and
of
religious
years,
explanations
either by the
for
Night's
the origins
Watch
of
guarding
humans.
the wall,
The first
or
men
even the wildlings
are simply
that
the
live
first humans
immediately
that
north of it.
migrated